Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're there, because if you're not, I'm going to be going live all on my own. Oh, and there's nobody there yet. Well, what a bugger. Well, who cares? This is the show, and this is the intro.
Hello, I'm Philip Silverstone. What exactly does that mean? Stick around, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you.
You need to meet our next guest, Mr. Philip Silverstone. How nice to meet you.
What a jerk. Hello. I don't know what I was on that day. I must have been on something. But, now, this is something very interesting. This is something very interesting indeed. We're on Facebook, but I do not have your list of names and things. That's very interesting. That's a new one. I'll have to figure that one out. But let me just say, because there is one of you here, there's two of you here, several of you here, welcome, one and all. Welcome to Silverstone Live on Facebook, with the recorded videos available here on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. It says Philip Silverstone. That's how you know it's my YouTube channel. Immediately after the live show. Each week I cover fashion, wine, music, theatre, film, and anything else that floats my boat and your boat. This is a shorter video version of my weekly podcasts on TuneIn Radio. They have been on a bit of a hiatus, but they're coming back because I'm coming back. My health is coming back. Just post your thoughts and your comments during the live show below the live stream, and my guest and I will address as many as possible in the next hour. The most popular feature on my podcast, and so far on this show, have been the ones which are all about fashion. So, let's roll the tape, because, as you know, the weekend always starts here. That caught you, didn't it? The weekend starts here, right now. And you know why I'm playing for time? Because I'm waiting for a few more of you to come on. Oh, screw them. Let's just begin. Roll the tape, Charlie. Ready? Roll the tape. Tape? I've been drinking too much of this juice here. I need some more. Here we go. Well. I fixed one issue here on this wonderfully live show, but I haven't fixed the other issue, which is going to be a real bugger. But we will get to it in a minute. I'm sure I'll figure it out shortly. I haven't figured out how I'm going to figure it out, but I'll figure it out. That's the way that it works here. So, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Rabina, hello. Yes, I had a lovely time on Friday with those young guys from that band, years and years. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Let me just say that as this is the fashion show, and I've already said that I have my favorite fashion person here from the podcasts and also from the show. And really and truly, there really is only one name in my life and on my shows, which is synonymous with fashion. So it gives me great pleasure. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a chum who is clever and witty and a fashion authority, doyen, guru, virtuoso and whiz. And I could go on and on, except I'm having a terrible time reading her handwriting. Ladies and germs, here's Anne Cecil. Anne Cecil coming to us from a private location somewhere on planet Earth with a fan coming out of her head. And so you've got a fan to the left of you on the screen and a fan coming out of your head. Anne, how are you?
I'm pretty good for somebody with a fan in my head.
You got a fan in your head, yes. What I'm trying to do here, Anne Cecil, and I have no idea what just happened, but all the things that are supposed to come up on the screen with our name and all that other stuff isn't happening. So I don't know what we're going to do. I'll find it while we're talking, or I can just see it on the side here. It's mission control here has got a bit of a screw up. I'm not quite sure why, but there you go. So why don't you tell everybody, while I'm trying to figure out what the hell has gone wrong with this thing, what today's theme is?
Well, so we thought it would be kind of fun for us to talk about what in fashion makes you fearless and what in fashion makes you fearful. So Phil and I have chosen some of our favorites, and we're hoping that you all will also post some of your favorites, photos, or chime in with what makes you feel really powerful. I did just want to kind of start while Phil's. I've
figured it all out, and everything. I told you they'd upgraded and updated Skype this past week, and I suggest to anybody that has Skype, you get to learn how to use it. But everything is mission control here is working perfectly, so you can call in. Let me just tell everyone, you can phone in your questions. Let me just put on the screen right now. This is what we are going to be talking about. I'm going to put it in the middle of the screen. This is what Anne said, right, Anne? You can't see it, but it says what makes you feel fearless and what makes you feel fear in fashion. That's the topic. That's the topic.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm leaving it up there, and we have, let me see how many people we have. Rabina, get all your friends to come on now because we need some photographs. And I'm sorry, I'm waffling on, but I did ask people to join us and to put some photographs up of their favourite clothes. But let's just begin with you. You read an article that I finally read. I kept deleting it, but it's fascinating that all of us have go-to clothes, isn't it, for confidence?
Absolutely. I think it's really great. And what was funny about the article that I sent to you in particular was that the woman who wrote the article, one of her garments that makes her feel fearless is also one of the garments that makes me feel fearless, and that's a black leather jacket. So, I think that's a pretty common one, but my favorite one, really, which we don't have a photo of, but I should send and you can put on Facebook, is from my true punk days, where my boyfriend, who then became my husband, had done up a moto jacket with spikes and painting on the back for me. And I wore that all the time, and I loved it because I felt like I was putting armor on as I was going out to face the world. So I still feel that way with my favorite soft black leather jacket. You have a photo of that.
I'm going to put that up on the screen now. There it is.
I just wanted to also say if we had people in the audience who saw our photo from one of our last meetings, I also had a different black leather jacket on at that point. So for me, that's a staple go-to comfort peace, but it also makes me feel very authentic and confident.
Yeah, it makes you, I like the moto design that we're now seeing. I mean, all of my clothes are moto. The only thing I don't have is a moto, to drive around in. I'd love to have a motorbike, but I'm too scared. But I have all the motorbike clothes, all the zips, because you're the one that turned me on to zips. And I have spiky shoes. You told me to get spiky shoes. So you're a very bad influence. But that leather jacket, I'm just going to put it up again for those people that just joined me. This is the jacket that Anne feels makes her really resilient and bold, and she can be Xena, warrior of whatever.
Yes. Exactly.
I've been looking for one like that, but they don't have them in my size. Unfortunately, they don't have animals large enough to make a jacket in that size. It's a shame, isn't it?
It is a shame, but I'm sure we can find you one.
So why do people feel that they're comfortable in certain items of clothing? What is it about I'm asking you, but then I'm going to show you a little later some of my favorites. What is it about clothing that makes us feel confident?
Well, I think that when you feel confident, it's because whatever you're wearing, one, feels like you, and two, makes you feel like you're your best you. And I think that is a really important part. Sorry, my dog needs my attention. He's trying to get my attention. So
this is an amateur hour, you know. You don't go on CNN and you don't have Wolf Blitzer going, "Oh, me dog just bit me, what's it?" Hi, Colin. Let me just say, Colin got here. You're only 12 minutes late, Colin. I'll show you what you missed. We're talking, you can see on the screen what we're talking about. And also, hi, Carol. It's the usual team, Rabina, Carol, Colin, some other people who haven't yet identified themselves. But we're talking about clothes that make us feel confident in ourselves. And if you have any photographs of yourself in clothes that make you feel confident, or without any clothes on at all, it doesn't really matter. If that's what is confident for you, being naked, you can post them and I'll put them on the screen and then I'll put them out on social media later on. But anyway, this is what what's your name? Anne. This is what Anne loves to wear. This is what gives her comfort. There we go. Isn't that gorgeous? But then again, only Anne can afford something like that. That's about a $10,000 leather jacket from Saks Fifth Avenue or somewhere.
It's Michael Kors, and it's from one of our favorite shops, TJ Maxx, several years ago,
really?
And it was $150.
At TJ Maxx. Listen, Colin, Carol, Rabina, and all the other people who are just spying on us. No, you're joining us, but you're not there. If you can just write, you can just post at the moment what you put on when you're not feeling as confident as you think you should, when you're going out to the pub or when you're going out to a nice restaurant. Colin said that was a bargain. Pauline Kingman, hi Pauline. I used to feel brill in the 70s. You got to stop. You've got to spell correctly. I'm trying to read this live on a show here. No, I'm just joking. Let me move it over here. I used to feel brill in the 70s when I wore my Bay, oh my God, my Bay City roller gear. The tartan on my jeans and tartan scarves. Do you remember those, Anne?
Oh my gosh. SATURDAY. Nice. I like a good tartan anyway. I think tartan is fantastic. One of my favorite things to wear is tartan.
I thought you said you like a nice tart, but I'm not hungry for that. You know what? I'm going to deviate a minute. I am going to show you, because we're talking about the Bay City rollers. Pauline, I'll look for a photo. Well, you better do it in the next 45 minutes, my love, because otherwise you'll be showing it to nobody. I have to show you. No, I'm going to wait. No, I'm going to show you. This was my, you've all seen it, I'm sure, but this was my outfit that I loved. in 1969. And you've seen it. It's me in Silver's wood green with my head in my hand. Anne is on Skype. She doesn't have a monitor. I don't allow guests to have a monitor because there's a delay and they get all screwed up. But this is me, ladies and germs, in my, in the menswear store that I was managing. There's all the nice jackets and suits behind me that I lined up neatly. And that's me in my, God knows what kind of shirt, hair down to me bum, and my Amiga watch. And that made me, that was as close to Mark Bolan, who was my idol, as I could get. Let's get that off of there. God. So, Anne, I tell you what, we are waiting for a few more people to come, and I think I want to have some fun today on this show. I really do. I know it's hard to believe that, but I want to try and have some fun today. I want to roll some video here for you, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody else. I do it all for you. I want to roll some video here of something that you all might remember. Anne's too young to remember it, but it was a little fashion shoot for a series in the 60s, which was known as The Avengers. Do you think we should just watch that a minute, Anne? It's very short, ladies and gentlemen. Colin Cameron says, you had a great career in retail and threw it away. Thank you very much, Colin. I love you too. Let's just show The Avengers.
He's asking for trouble. She's just as tough as she's gorgeous. Obviously, he doesn't know an Avenger when he sees one. The cool beauty with the expert Irish whip is Diana Rigg, alias Emma Peel, Steed's new partner in the fight against the international underworld. She's dressed to kill in a fighting suit of black salon stretch jersey. This and the other way-out gear for mod maidens is the Jean Varen collection, inspired by the TV thriller series. Steed has no complaints. To be a successful agent, you've got to have feminine appeal and feline speed. The negligee and catsuit are just right. Some target. Another catsuit in black and white. For that special punch-up affair, a turquoise lame trouser suit. A word for undercover cover girls. These hot lines will be on sale soon. Incidentally, so too will be modesty pants for the dog world, if this idea to make dogs decent takes on. The right walking out clothes may soon be a must for dandies of the doggy set.
God, that was naff. But, and you couldn't get away with that today, you know, all that stuff he said about the ladies. But, you sort of, you're not old enough to remember Emma Peel.
Of course I do.
Okay,
she was
so
one of my fashion idols.
So was the Emma Peel look, do you think that made women feel stronger? Because Pussy Galore, if you'll excuse the expression, Pussy Galore in James Bond, she also wore one of those outfits.
Yes, I think it was something that was empowering women at the time. And what I think is really fun about that little blurb that we watched is that, first of all, you know, back then they called it a cat suit. We now call them jumpsuits, really. They're still in. And what I love about this one is it reminds me so much of athletic wear that we wear now. And so, you know, that cat suit has really turned into something that women who are active wear. And it has become something that's really just an integral part of being a very strong and empowered female. The thing that I also think is really kind of fun about it is that, you know, maybe it makes you feel like a superhero. Could be.
I suppose so. Although I doubt if we'd see anyone walking around in those particular outfits today. So, you mentioned that you had told me that you have some black boots that I suppose they're your go-to boots. Do they go with a leather jacket and make you feel invincible?
Well, so I have many pairs of black boots, and I like to call them kick-ass boots, and they could be anything from high heels to flats. They could be over the knee to the knee or ankle. I showed you a pair that I really like because what it has is some chain on it, and I like to have a lot of hardware on my clothing. I think hardware is something that makes me feel very powerful, and it makes me feel like I could hurt you if I wanted to or if I needed to.
When you say you, that's a generic you, right?
Yes, not you, Philip Silverstone.
Okay. See, Facebook has fallen flat on its face again. I'm sorry, but if anyone's listening from Facebook, you've fallen flat on your back. You cannot post a photograph. Colin, thank you for telling me that. You cannot post a photograph on the chat line during the show. So we'll know from now on, folks, that if you want to send photos, you have to do it ahead of time. So sorry about that. And Pauline, you know what, folks? Forget about it. I tell you what we'll do. You can post the photos later on after the show, underneath the show, or I might start another post on here. That's what I'll do. I'll start another post later on. I promise you. I'm making a note now. Start another post, and you can put all your photos on there. And we can have a good chuckle after the show, so the show can have some legs. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Okay, so we'll do that later on. So it's just going to be my pictures and Anne's pictures and some of these lovely videos. So when somebody is, let's say somebody, I mean, I'm not cross-examining you today, but you've opened up a can of worms with me, Anne. Let's say somebody is a bit shy. Right?
Yeah.
Because I think this is, to some extent, for me, this is what it's all about. You're a bit shy. You've been invited to a party. You don't have someone to go with. You're going on your own, and you feel that when you walk in the room, everyone's going to look at you. Which, of course, they probably not, but they might do. But you feel that they are. So do you wear something? Because I read the article that inspired what you're talking about today. And it occurred to me that some people are going for very bright colours so that they do get noticed when they walk in a room, and somehow that takes the fear away. Or I would have assumed you want something that just fits in with the wallpaper. Are you saying that there should be, or there is often an outfit that people would put on that they feel is their comfy blanket when they walk into an environment that they feel might be hostile?
Yes, I think that there is. Everybody, I bet, has their favorite go-to. And I think it's a great thing that you've just brought up, the idea of going to a party by yourself. The other one that I think is really hard, and nobody would ever believe this about me, because I'm sure the people who are repeat
viewers,
thank you, would never believe this about me. But I actually am kind of shy.
No, don't say that.
When I have to do one-on-one things. So do you know the thing that I hate doing? Because you know me. I could stand up in a stadium filled with 300,000 people and talk. And I can talk, to a classroom, and I can talk to an audience. When I'm standing in front of them, none of that bothers me. But when I have to go up to some person and just introduce myself and meet them one-on-one, it's actually very difficult for me. So, networking is something that scares me to death. So, here's the thing. You have to, I think you can go either way with this. You could be the person who wants to stand out to attract attention. So you might choose something that would set you apart from the crowd. Or you could be somebody who would put something on that's very appropriate and neutral so that you kind of fall back into the crowd. And, again, this is partly who you are is going to determine which way you might go. Now, sometimes, because the authentic, prickly me is the spiky, edgy person, what it ends up often doing in a networking situation is making people be afraid of me so they don't come talk to me. And I guess if you really wanted to talk to this from a psychological standpoint, there's an element of that. I don't want you near me, so I'm
just curious, and because I remember the first time I met you, do you still carry that whip with you?
Always. Always.
So Rabina, our good friend Rabina up in Scotland, she says she's shy going to parties herself, and she wears a black dress with red flowers on it. Well, that's going to make her stick out, but it's also, I mean, but you know what? What Rabina just said something, and to take that and take a step back to something I just said. When you do wear something that is bright and, let's say, a little different, even though you don't have as much confidence as you think you have, it might transmit to other people that, wow, that person really is very confident because they've walked into the room wearing this incredible outfit. So you really and truly, I suppose there's some kind of reverse psychology, but really and truly, I suppose the way to go, now I'm sort of thinking out loud, verbal diarrhea, but maybe the way to go is to do what I do, which is why I do it. I do it because I love it, but it's to just go all out, and blow everyone away with what you're wearing.
So I think you can take either way, but I really do love the black with the red flowers. I think that's a great choice because it's got a lot of elegance to it by having those two colors. Those are traditionally they will stand out, but they will also, they work so very well together. So they're a very nice color combination. And one thing, I don't know if Rabina knows this, but red is a power color, so it's a great color to wear whenever you want to kind of put yourself out there and seem confident, even if you don't feel confident. So that would be a great choice.
Well, Rabina, you've impressed Anne, and you've got to now keep going out with that dress. Try a red dress now with black flowers, and just switch it around a little bit. And also, we've got to hook you up with somebody through this show, so that anyone in Scotland, you've got to go out with Rabina. She shouldn't go on her own. She shouldn't. It's not fair. But anyway, some of you out here are not writing stuff. Any questions for Anne? You don't have to do it this second, but if you've got any questions for Anne, if you're shy, if you would like something that you think might give you some confidence in the office, at a party, at a special event, okay, thanks, Rabina. I'll look forward to getting that. If you've got any questions about this or anything else, that's what Anne's here for. I thought, Anne, because it's the holiday week here in the States, folks. Those of you in the UK, this is the week where I keep my mouth shut. It's the one that we lost. It's the independence. It's the war of independence. I think that was the one. I think we lost that one. And, of course, I've met a lot of people this week who said, damn, if only King George would have won, we wouldn't have Donald Trump in the White House. But anyway, we're not talking about politics. And I want to show people, I might stop it if I get bored with it, I have something about 70s fashion. So we saw that in the 60s, women, and this is mostly about women, but men are invited, of course, because I've got my own feeling about stuff to fall back on. But every decade seems to have had certain fashions that I think women found very appealing for going out and feeling confident. I can't remember what these videos are, but we're going to show you. We showed you the 60s. Now we're going to show you the 70s.
It was a decade personified by sartorial flair. From cut to creativity, there are some standout trends that truly defined the 1970s. Some of the grooviest jumpsuits ever made were worn by both men and women in the 70s, with legends like David Bowie leading the way. Bell-bottoms, or flares, were the ultimate statement piece, made popular by the likes of ABBA, Cher, and even Michael Jackson. When it came to flares, the frillier, wider, and altogether more outrageous, the better. The miniskirts of the swinging 60s were old news in comparison to the transparent clothing movement pioneered in the 70s by the likes of Ozzie Clark and Yves Saint Laurent. wearing a see-through dress with no undergarments was certainly a statement. And this 70s model showed us that with any sheer garment, the most important accessory was a sassy attitude.
If you're going to be afraid and wear it, what people are going to think, don't bother. Wear a turtleneck. If you're going to wear a topless dress, then put it on and forget about it.
Platforms are the most iconic pieces of footwear of the decade, if not the 20th century. This glam rock footwear encouraged gender politics after both men and women chose to wear the height-boosting shoes.
Gone are the pre-lib days when you would be 2 or 3 inches taller than your girlfriend. Well, now, Mr. Figgin's shoe shops are striking a blow for men's lib by introducing a shoe with a 5-inch cork sole, which will enable you to regain your rightful place.
And whilst attitudes have shifted since then, there's one unmistakable look that has barely changed since it came screaming into the limelight in the 1970s. Inspired by the anarchic underworld inhabited by the likes of the New York Dolls, the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, punk exploded onto the scene in the 70s with leather-clad mohawked youths using safety pins like no generation before. Perhaps the biggest testament to the 1970s fashion is the way it's continued to inspire us, even decades later.
Well, I'm just reading some of the notes here. Brill era, the 70s from Pauline. Platform shoes, nearly broke my legs many times. Yes, the 70s was interesting, Anne, because it started out there with me, because I was still in the UK and I was working in King's Road and I was wearing 5-inch heeled platform shoes with my 29-inch, 32-inch, whatever they were, flared yellow trousers, and everyone, I didn't have a lot of girlfriends in those days, but then we move across at the end of that era. When I came over here, I sort of missed out on punk a little bit because it took a while to catch on here, I think. But we go from my era in the 70s to you, because you were a punker.
Well, yeah, and I would also just say that the thing to think about with punk is that in the U.S. the Sex Pistols was a contrived punk look, very specifically by Malcolm McLaren. And so in the U.S., we didn't really have the mohawks and the safety pins. If you look at the Ramones, that was more sort of the punk look in the United States. So it wasn't as sort of dramatic and in your face as it was in the UK per se. But one of the things that I think is really fun about the 70s, so this might be a good time to ask some of our audience, what scares you in fashion? Because there were some real extremes in the 70s that were frightful for some people, I think, to wear, And it's kind of fun because the jumpsuits, the bell bottoms, the flares, the platforms, the wide legs are all back again right now. And we've been doing sheer fashion for a very long time as well, although not without underwear underneath. So, but, I'd like to know if the audience, what scares you in fashion? Yeah,
I think it's a shame that I think underwear spoils it, because I don't like seeing the underwear lines underneath it. But Rabina, who's still with us and still writing, says she's going to a hen night and she just bought herself a jumpsuit. She loves jumpsuits. So fashion is never old and it's never new. It just keeps going around and around in circles. But Anne just threw out a question there. What is it that I'm just reading? I've got notes both sides of the screen from the audience. And about this time of the show, halfway through, they do come in fast and furiously on here. But what is it that you say what scares you?
What in fashion scares you?
Now, did you send me a photo of something that scares you?
Well, I did send you a photo. Well, I sent you a link to a photo of shoes.
Oh, you sent me. So those shoes, what were they called?
SAS.
SAS. They are, and I'm going to put them on the screen now, the worst shoes I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, these things, oh God, I hope none of you out there have these. These should not be allowed to be sold in stores, and people should have their legs cut off if they wear these sort of shoes. What are they called?
Well, the company is called San Antonio Shoe Company, and they're known as SAS. And really what they do, so, just to put it in perspective, is that they are the shoe that when you become elderly, have no balance, need the walker, etc., this is the shoe that most doctors recommend.
Oh, so then I take back what I said, because I'm only 3 years away from that. I take back what I just said, because that isn't a fashion shoe. That's a shoe for people that have infirmities.
Well, it's kind of a comfort shoe. But what scares me is that someday I may not be able to wear my beautiful shoes, and I may have to wear those.
And I promise you, I will push you off the Ben Franklin Bridge in Philadelphia if that ever befalls you.
Great.
Okay?
That's a good pact. We'll make that pact right now.
We have to have this pact. Colin's not a fan of the goth look, but he'd say that he's not scared by any fashion or by any clothes. So, I mean, I wasn't quite sure what you meant by when you said you were scared of clothes. I mean, for me, the platform hill, I knew I was going to break my neck one day. I didn't actually. But those shoes there are basically a fate that's in store for some of us, and that's why you're scared of it, because the day you put those shoes on, you are in the final act, maybe the final page of the final act of the play of your life, right?
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. So other things that might scare you might be a particular type of fabric. I know one thing that scares many women, including myself, is a bathing suit. So, I think that there are other ways to think of it. When I think of the 70s and I think of that double knit polyester, that was kind of scary fabric. So, the way that it feels. So it doesn't have to be particularly a garment. It could be something that makes the garment up as well.
Well, I used to be, you and I have a lot in common, and I used to be, and I suppose I still am. I mean, if I did some self-analysis here, but I used to be, as a child, I was painfully shy. And I still can't walk into a room once the people are in the room. I have to walk into the room ahead of people. That's why I'm always super punctual. But I made a discovery, and I made a discovery when I was first doing events with people. I discovered that I had an alter ego. And so the alter ego used to come out, and I used to transform into that person. And so I hid behind the person. You can't really do that when you go out. So that's why I think I adopted the type of clothes and things that I wear, because when I put them on and sort of hide behind them, people have a different perception of me. And for me, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. When I unlock my front door, I'm walking out onto a stage. So I just want to show people that one of the things that is my most definite go-to, and nobody has mentioned. Anyone old enough to remember, who was it, Elmer Cogan? I think it was Elmer Cogan, that every single scene that every new song she sang, she used to come out with a different dress. Well, I've changed hats. Nobody noticed I changed hats, and you know what? Nobody gives a damn. I don't blame them. But that is a good segue into one of the things that is my go-to safety blanket. And there you are. There is a selection of my hats at home. There's hats upon hats upon hats. And when I put a hat on, I feel super confident. And you know what? Every single day, Anne, I have to just mention this. And I don't do it for this, but it's interesting. People look at me, and they've got two options. They can either three. They can either say nothing, they can laugh themselves stupid, or they can do what they do. They actually come up to me because they are it's almost like a magnet. They come up to me and they say, "Hey man, are you an artist? You know, are you?" And they're not quite sure what they're asking me, except there's something about the look which conveys artistry, and that's why I call myself a podcartist now. You know, because that's something to fall back on. Let me just show everyone the other thing that for me is something that makes me feel. It makes me feel not only cool, but it makes me feel like macho, and I love it. I could live in this thing, and this is my torn up. It's new, but it's it's my damaged blue denim jacket, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Plus, of course, it shows off my tattoo, which also shows off my macho-ness. Anyway, I've been rambling on there. Me too. Oh, hang on. Okay. Lipstick always boosts my confidence. Colin said, no, that was Pauline, sorry. Colin said me too. Oh, yeah, Colin said me too, smart ass. Uh-huh. So let's talk about what Pauline just said. Lipstick always boosts my confidence.
Well,
talk a little bit about lipstick, and also, do you go, I love women that wear bright coloured red or even blue. Tell us about lipstick and confidence, and this is directed directly at Pauline.
Right. So, Pauline, I think you said red, right? She said she
No.
lipstick.
She said lipstick always boosts my confidence.
Ah, okay. Sorry. So I'm glad that you think that. I would agree, and I think that one of the best things about lipstick is it is one of those items that helps you draw attention to your face, and it is one of those items that gives you a little bit of a polished look. It looks like you've just kind of paid a little attention to yourself and drawn some attention to yourself. Then one of the most interesting things about makeup and lipstick is that in the professional world, women who wear makeup, and particularly lipstick, are taken more seriously. And that's kind of interesting because I think there's a lot of people out there who think that that's not true. But again, it's putting on your face and making yourself sort of polished and adding an accessory to your blank canvas. And that is something that others notice very quickly. I know on other times when we've been on, we've talked about the fact that the human brain is wired to notice how other people look very, very quickly. And like really within a few seconds, we've taken in the person that we see. And so this is one of the indicators. The lipstick is one that has a really strong indication that you've done something with yourself. And it actually is something that draws a good bit of attention to you. So it's great that makes you feel confident.
Yeah, Pauline also said for women, often makeup helps with confidence more than clothes. So again, it's hiding in a way. It's hiding who you are with something that distracts people from actually looking at the real you. I don't know. But at the same time, it also enhances. I'm trying to be very politically correct here, but in some cases it makes a person prettier.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, I think the word polished is a good thing because when you're putting on any kind of makeup, what it does is it accentuates certain features that when you don't have makeup on, all of your features are the same level of feature. When you choose to accentuate sort of your eyes or your lips, it actually just gives a focal point to your face. And so it makes you look like you're just a little bit more polished as opposed to having everything have the same amount of attention to it. So I think that's where that happens. And I also think I wanted to say to Pauline, the other thing that I think does tremendous wonders for perhaps men, I don't know, Phil, you'll tell me, and women, is a haircut. Phil and I were talking today. I went to my hairstylist just before we got on to talk today. And, the one thing about my hair when my hairstylist does it is that the way she actually styles my hair is she takes time with it. I don't take as much time with it. So when you just see my bob the way I've done it, it doesn't look nearly as polished as it does tonight because my hairdresser did it. And of course, the other thing about that is my hairdresser, I'm sitting down and she's doing all these things, pulling my hair up, which I can't do myself, you know, and she's doing it from all sides with her dominant
I can
hand.
come over and do it for you. I have Pauline. It's all Pauline today, and I don't care who it is. I have hair done every 6 weeks. That's also important to me. Cut and colour. I know that from the responses I got, people are identifying with the different eras. Why don't we might not go any further with this, but let's have a quick look at what was going on in the 80s, because I remember the 80s was the time of the Carringtons and Dallas and huge shoulders. I don't remember if this movie has it in there, but that's when women were really becoming powerful at work. And let's just have a look, ladies and gentlemen, got to stop saying germs, at what was going on in your world in the 80s. It seems that the 80s was a nothing decade, but it was very much about health clubs. I remember that, and it was all about women power, because the 80s was, I think, when we started getting MTV and we started getting, who was it? Olivia Newton-John in the health club, singing in the health club, and that I think that was, and of course Madonna and all the girl bands. So it was all about girls wearing funky clothes, going to the health club, and the clothes were tacky and horrible, but it was the beginning of girl power. That's all I can say. What do you think about that? Least said, the better.
Well, no, I think what's kind of funny about it. So Jane Fonda and the leg warmers, key. Also back, I might tell everybody. Not for everybody, but young ladies are wearing those. There's Joan with the big shoulders, and I'm talking now of Dynasty and Dallas, right, fame. And we had those huge football padded shoulders, and that was really angular. Now, this really is interesting because it was a power suit. And it came out of the idea of dress for success, because let's also remember that in the 80s, it's when women were really going into corporate America and they were trying to find the right formula to wear in the boardroom. Yep. And it was also when women started to wear their Reeboks, which were, by the way, made for women to begin with, to walk to work in and take their pumps and put them on. So this was all early 80s, which was really important. And then I think thinking about Madonna is another one. But what is really important about the 80s as well is, and this is in the Madonna era, is that it's when lingerie became what you wore outside. And it's also in the fashion industry where street fashion started to become where designers looked to for inspiration. And so before that, we would have a trickle-down effect. So the big designers would put out what they wanted, and it would disseminate down, in various levels to the fashion consumer. But in the 1980s in particular, and probably in the late 70s, this is where it started to come from because it's a little bit about where punk came in. It's where we started to see that the designers, in fact, were looking at street fashion to kind of make their fashion, and youth was looking at street fashion to create from the bottom up. So a very interesting time, really. Now, was it a pretty time? Well, not necessarily. Neon colors, all that lace, but it was also kind of fun and lighthearted. And I think the girl bands, you're right. It was when women were starting to have, as young women, some venue to be seen and gaining some confidence and power from having been in the shadows. So I think that's really was what was great about the 80s.
Now, I want to go back to something I asked you before. You sent me a photo of some black boots. I'm going all the way back. I'm going to put them on the screen. Why did you send me this photo?
Well, I told you that what always makes me feel fearless is kick-ass boots for a few reasons. One is you should always have boots you can run in as a woman. And you should always have some boots that could damage an attacker. This is where I live. And so just to share with our audience just a little bit, I've lived in Philadelphia all of my adult life. And in the 1980s, it was kind of rough to live in the city. And I learned then traveling around at night by myself, I needed to protect myself. Thus, the black leather jackets, the boots that are kick-ass boots. And my rules really are, and it is how I roll, you should always have shoes you can run in, and you should always have items that can stop an attacker. So my jewelry is made that way, my shoes are chosen that way.
Well, hold on a minute. Let's just show them your skull jewelry, which if you get bored with it, I will wear. Explain then the skull jewelry. What's this? Is this what you wear you wear this still? Or you did wear this?
Oh, no, I still wear those. Those actually are newer pieces, so I wear them a lot more. Those aren't really ones that I would think are dangerous. And I don't have my rings on tonight, but, Phil, I usually have full armor on my hands, ready to slap anybody with them.
Yeah.
So, but those, the skull jewelry is something that I enjoy skulls. I like skull and crossbones. It's always been an integral sort of item that has been something that I wear quite a bit, and people give me a lot of skulls. And so when I find designers who are doing things, that mirrored skull is done by a Philadelphia designer who is a former student and colleague of mine. So it's one of my fondest ones. And it's great because it reflects you back when you're looking at me. It's mirrored.
Yeah.
So when you look at
I'm
me,
just looking at that.
Yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
So it has some kind of interesting and underlying ideas there.
Very, very Keith Richards, that is. I like that very much. I like that. Nothing happened in the 90s, did it?
So I just wanted to say one thing about the 90s, because maybe you could post this video on Facebook and our audience can look at it on their own. And I'm going to leave them with this one comment. Hammer time. The hammer pants pretty much is quintessentially what I would say about the 90s, other than some grunge. but Hammer Time was about it. So that would be my only comment for the 90s.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this show out by playing that video.
Oh, good.
I will let you go, Anne. I'm sure I'll send you a text message later, but I'll let you go in a second. I'm gonna wish you a happy July 4th week. If you have any questions for Anne, there's her website, roxannelava.com, or you can just post them below wherever you're seeing this video, whether it's on our Facebook page or whether it's on our YouTube page. You can post some questions for Anne. She will get straight back to you. Have a great week, Anne. I'm going to take you off of the screen now because you've been on it long enough. And I'll see you next week, okay? And no, a couple of weeks, okay?
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Have a great night. I'm going to go have a very tall gin and bitter lemon now. How does that sound?
That sounds good. Good night, Anne.
Good night. Bye-bye, everybody.
And what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to, if you live in the United States, happy July 4th. And if you don't live in the United States, happy July 4th. Be happy that it's the one that we lost. And Pauline says bye. And I'm going to close out this week with the video that shows what was going on in the 90s. So I love you all. And I'll see you all same time, same place next week. Bye-bye. Here comes that video.
Music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord, thank you for blessing me. What am I to rhyme and do hype me? It feels good when you know you're down. A super dope homeboy from the Oak Town, and I'm known as such. And this is the you can't touch. I told you, homeboy, you can't touch this. Yeah, that's how we living, and you know you can't touch this. Look in my eyes, man, you can't touch this. Yo, let me bust the funky lyrics. Fresh new kicks and bands, you got it like that. Now you know you wanna dance, so move out of your seat and get a fire girl and catch this beat while it's rolling. Hold on, pump a little bit and let them know what's going on like that, like that. Hold on a minute, just fall on back, let them know that you're too much and this is a beat they can't touch. Yo, I told you can't touch this. Why you standing there, man? You can't touch this. Yo, sound the bell, school is in, sucker. You can't touch this. Give me a song, a rhythm, making them sweat. That's what I'm giving them now. They know. You talk about the hammer, you're talking about a show that's hot and tight. Singles are sweating so fast, I'm a whiteboard tape. To learn what's it gonna take in the 90s to burn the charts. Legit. Either work hard or you might as well quit. That's word, because you know you can't touch this. You can't touch this. Break it down. Stop. Hammer time. Go with the flow. It is said if you can't do the list, then you probably are dead. So wave your hands in the air. Bust a few moves. Run your fingers through your hair. This is it. For a winner, dance to this, and you're gonna get there. The move, slide, your rump. Just for a minute, let's all do the bump. Yeah, you can't touch this. Look, man, you can't touch this. You better get hype, boy, cause you know you can't touch this. Ring the bell, school's back in. Break it down. Have a time. You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this.